I didn't expect that you could learn like really like entire realm of training that was like lost somewhere.
It's so funny because these high-level Qigong masters, they are making fun of the ancient Qigong, like it's not supposed to be like this.
Even in the Qigong circles, these people don't know about these techniques. They don't know about these methods.
Some of this hard Qigong, it's so primal and it's so intense and so dark that it's not even kind of allowed for a civilized mind and for a civilized person. It's about all these primal instincts of death.
As human beings and what we are capable of producing and bringing forth from our mind, it has the dark side and the light side, and this. You don't actually have any person who has internalized the training. You only have people who have learned it and imitated it from some people.
You are not supposed to just learn the training, you have to become the training. Like it has to be something who you are.
So I would say, like, in a way, the basis of your martial art is your body and specifically the health of your body, because there's, you can then on top of that, you can gather so many things, your mindset and techniques and strategies and everything, but I think it all relies really on the fact that you have a body that it functions, it works, your joints can move, because if you don't have that and you just experience pain or you have very limited movement or you're just physically weak some areas, I think the martial arts kind of lacks really the foundation of it. Like you can't even perform techniques or movements. But what is most interesting for me with many professional fighters is that they can actually like reach like even a really quite high level, even though they have quite broken body. But at some point, it still like will become like this wall facing. Like you can kind of like try to run away from your issues, but at some point you still have to face them.
And still many athletes, their careers actually get cut short. They end many times because of the injuries. And I would say like how the modern athletes train like in 2020 and beyond is actually quite good, because nowadays they do lots of supplementary strength training, they do mobility training, they do flexibility and stability training. And they also nowadays, in the past 10 years, they have also started to do all this breathing work and stuff, which is also very good. But how we would see it is that all of these still lack lots of depth, like especially the breathing and the internal forms of training, and how like the sports psychologists and stuff like this, I think it's still very basic surface rudimentary level. And of course, if you don't do any of that stuff, it will be very helpful and it will make a big difference. But it's all of these methods most people use in the modern and the mainstream way, it's still surface level and the basic level. But that's why what we discovered in the ancient Qigong is that it just went so deep into the body and mind. It's just, you don't need a sports psychologist when you have actually physical exercises that combine your mentality and mindset. And also the breathing techniques, it's not just, of course, rhythm breathing is one of the things and these different techniques, but it's like, it just has so much more depth than anything we have found anyone teaching or anyone actually learning the mainstream ways of training.
Yeah, that was the big shocking, realizes the very first time, like training Qigong even and these Kung Fu methods that, or when we train it in Taiwan with Zheng Yushan, because that was the first time we actually found out like about these very authentic styles. And before that, we were like very, very knowledgeable. Like we had read a lot of books, studied, researched, trained, educated ourselves, even in breathing and a lot of this stuff. And so I didn't expect that you could learn like this entire, like really like entire realm of training that was like lost somewhere.
Yeah, and it's very good to understand that like what people actually think of Qigong and also about lots of these Kung Fu techniques, it's completely different from the from the reality of training that we do. Like the ancient Qigong is very rare and it's very hard to find, and it's completely different from the bulk of Qigong and Kung Fu you can find in the mainstream way.
And listen, when I post like Lohan Gong or the hard Qigong, fighting Qigong, I still get like comments from people. They're like, you're not supposed to tense your muscles. This ain't Qigong. Like these people.
Yeah, they don't. Even, and they can be even high level Qigong masters.
Yep.
Like it's so funny because these high level Qigong masters, they are making fun of the ancient Qigong. Like it's not supposed to be like this.
Like I mean, well, I understand. Like if you don't have access to it, you don't have extra knowledge. But still, like maybe you know, even in that sense, you would maybe try to study a bit further, not just like immediately like judge like this is wrong or something like that. But that's the case. Is that most of the time this stuff is even in the Qigong circles, these people don't know about these techniques. They don't know about these methods that they
only
use.
have the soft side, and that's it. Because actually, the hard style it's some of this hard Qigong. It's so primal and it's so intense, and for lack of a better word, it's so dark that it's not even kind of allowed for a civilized mind and for a civilized person. It's not. It feels like it's not something like a Western civilized person is allowed to even learn.
Yeah, it's
because it's really it's about all these primal instincts of death in many ways.
Yeah,
life and death,
fight to the death or some.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not something you carry to your home or to your workplace or something. Like you kind of you practice it in your own chamber and you know then maybe unleash it in a cage or something. But
because some of this stuff looks like it's like a crazy person doing some crazy things. And most people nowadays, they are afraid to even see themselves as like a beast, like a monster. But because some of these techniques, they kind of transform yourself. Like of course you always have control, but they kind of like bring forth this monster which is inside of all of us. And in the modern day, it's not allowed to even exist.
Yeah, and that's like level of sort of mental training to like of the other extreme that is Qigong has. And the only thing that we know is this. And by the way, it's like really good. I also like that's the kind of practice that, for example, I needed, because I was often like just let's go fire, and if you don't know how to relax and do that stuff, it's also a weakness. But that is the stuff that at least many people think of Qigong and spiritualism as only that. But hey, it's only one side still of the aspects. Like as human beings and what we are capable of producing and bringing forth from our mind, it has that dark side and the light side, and this power and there's violence.
And actually, the more you master the dark side, the many times the more you also have access to the light side.
Yeah, good point. Like you don't even understand the other side usually.
Yeah, like how can like the Jiang has said, like how can you know the soft if you don't know the hard?
Yeah, and vice versa. Yeah, that's the thing. And this, I think, like you said, the depth of the methods, it goes very deeply like this way. And in these Western methods is, I think even the Western methods that they're doing, the more traditional stuff, they could go a lot deeper even in those. Like you don't necessarily, like we go very deep in our athlete to next methodology or our strength training methodology and athletic training stuff. It's like very deep body awareness and control and consciousness that you can apply into your training. And this is interesting because I found like similarities from the Qigong and Kung Fu. Like they had this sort of overlying like body consciousness, and like they use these positions to like scan their bodies, and they had their own terms like the meridians. Nowadays we talk about fascias and so on, but they were so knowledgeable about these things, and they were able to like integrate their knowledge and their science of that time into these drills and exercises. Like I think that's what really made it so powerful, and it was in a very original form. Like nowadays, it seems that for many athletes, it's not you don't actually have any person who has internalized the training. You only have people who have learned it and imitated it from some people. They learned like, okay, you do exercise this way, you do exercise that way, but you never learned any deeper principles about the exercise or how it should relate to your body and to your muscles and everything.
Yeah, I would say that you are not supposed to just learn the training, you have to become the training. You have to become the... It has to be something who you are. Like you have to improve yourself as like a human being.
Yep.
And not just add some external things you do.
Yep, you have to like embody that, and like I think that's a huge advantage in learning anything, whether it's some, football or hockey or whatever sports, basketball you might be doing, and especially in the martial arts. Like if you don't embody yourself and your abilities, like it's gonna be much harder to make progress. Like if you are knowledgeable about these different things, first of all, if you face plateaus, you usually know much better how to address them or how to fix some, let's say, weakness or pains in your body. You know much better how to start to apply different movements. You know how your body functions. You know how your joints move. It's like it's an incredible advantage that you can utilize in any kind of like performance or sport scenario, and this is really what some deep methods can teach.
Yeah, the reason why we found ancient Qigong to begin with was because we were already on the same road or on the same journey of combining the external and internal together, and focusing more on the internal actually, because before that everything was external always, but that was the reason why we even because you are only going to find things that kind of you are already like looking for. Yes.
Yeah. What is you seek and you shall find. Like if you don't seek the specific thing, and if you're not on that path, you may not end up or bump into the actual knowledge even. So keep your mind open, eyes open, and keep learning.